All right, David. So I got a question for you.
Ask away.
So, if you were frozen in time and then emerged 50 years in the future, what would be the first thing you would do?
Cry.
Really?
Yeah.
See, me, I would find the nearest dog, the first dog I would ever see, and just pet them and probably cry too, to be honest, because like being frozen for 50 years
That's
does,
cheating. That's what you do all the time.
hey, just because I love petting dogs doesn't mean 50 years in the future when I'm frozen, I wouldn't change a thing.
Doesn't it though? What I'm saying is that's your answer for everything. Whenever you're in a new place, you look for the nearest dog to pet it.
And cry.
Cry tears of joy because you're petting the dog.
Hello, humans and non humans of podcast land, and welcome to episode 3 of Sharing Comics Club, the club you share comics with your friends. We are your hostess with the mostest, Brooke and David, and today I am very excited because, a drum roll please.
We doing Captain America, Home of the Brave.
Woo!
So this is written by Mark Waid with art by Samnee Wilson. Waid worked on Captain America around the 90s and 2000s, and I learned that Samnee actually worked on a Captain America and Bucky book as like a flashback during like when the both of them are fighting during the war. Because back in the day, Bucky was Cap's Robin. And Waid and Samnee also worked on Daredevil as well as a run of Black Widow together. And I looked up some interviews, and Mark Waid says that Cap's mindset at this point is, I claim to represent all of America, but I spend like 95% of my time in New York. Maybe we could fix that. So Cap is on the road again.
So, actually, before we get started, fun Brooke fact. Captain America was actually the first superhero I was introduced to. It was obviously Marvel Cinematic Universe Captain America, but nonetheless, he's the one who actually got me all star-eyed, pun intended, and wanted me to explore more of the comic book side of Marvel because of it. So I got to thank Captain America for that one.
Mm-hmm. And don't worry, Brooke, we'll be seeing more Cap on the channel.
I'm so excited.
So, Secret Empire happened. Steve was a Hydra agent. Steve is now back to normal, and Cap is back to work. This is like the palate cleanser. And fun fact, Stevil Rogers is actually in jail. Deadpool got pissed that he tricked him into doing evil stuff and killing Phil Coulson. And Deadpool breaks into Stevil's jail cell and explodes his toilet, like literally. So now he's in prison and has nowhere to poop.
Wait, so Steve Rogers that we're seeing in this comic is different from the evil one? So there's two?
So at the end what happened was that even though Steve Rogers was changed into Stevil, at the end they like split. So Stevil is his own jerk and Steve is like Steve. And
Got it.
now Stevil died in a fire. So
all right, then that takes care of it, I guess.
Would have preferred it if Deadpool had done it, but beggars can't be choosers.
Nope.
So we open the book with Captain America's origin, and we actually see Bucky with his Robin mask, let's face it.
I was just about to ask if that was Bucky. That's so funny. Yeah, no, he does look like Robin, but like
and fun fact, I forget if when he comes back if he voices him, but in the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon, when you see the flashbacks of Bucky, he's voiced by Teen Titans cartoon Robin. And I forget if he voices him when he comes back as Winter Soldier. But he should.
I mean,
because that'd make you happy.
Yes.
So anyway, we get Cap's origin. We get to see Skinny Cap. But then we cut to later, after Steve has been unfrozen, but like still technically a flashback. Cap is fighting a super terrorist group created for this book called Rampart.
So they're just strictly this book and they're not really going to pop up in others?
I mean, they were created in this so they could come back. I don't know off the top of my head if they have.
Good to know.
Now, a super terrorist is like a regular terrorist, but they're led by colorful supervillains. The henchmen have marketable outfits that can be turned into action figures, and they have death rays and James Bond bases. Cap's fighting these guys. Some kids get separated from the group, so Steve goes to save them. Steve tells the girl that she's bigger, so she has to protect the little boy. Cap kicks ass, as he does, but then the girl jumps in front of Steve to try to protect him. But thankfully, Steve saves her, and he says, I'm bigger, so I protect you. Now, the reason why people don't recognize Cap is because this is supposed to take place like right after he was frozen. So we cut to the present, and 10 years later, Steve returns to Boughton County, Nebraska. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm making a guess. For the town's Captain America celebration. And if you look, you can see one dude in a Cap Wolf shirt. And as Steve orders a hot dog, he finds out there's a subset of people that don't believe Steve was ever frozen. Then a little girl tells him to watch out, and it turns out he grabs her little Cap shield frisbee on instinct.
Did you notice the dog in the Captain America suit? Because I did.
Of course you did. Of course I did. And he's brown, just like Cap Wolf. So he's Cap Dog.
Cap Dog. Cap Dog. Cap Dog.
But a bunch of people get on stage to talk about what they love about Captain America. And not pictured is Brooke shoving everyone out of the way so she could take the stage and tell everyone how much she loves Cap.
Shh, don't tell them.
But then suddenly Rampart pops up and says they're back and better than ever. Then Cap kicks their asses, but before he can get intel about their boss, they explode. Cap apologizes to the townsfolk for hiding. He wanted to move around undetected so he could stop them, not so he could join the festival. But everyone calls him a hero anyways. Cap also points out how some of the people saved each other and how that was in them all along.
I think that's the most beautiful moment. Like, he literally just was like, listen, I wasn't here for all the bells and whistles. I just wanted to get in and get out. And he even highlighted people who just started to help. And he's like, these people are heroes and I'm just here. So like, I don't know. To me, that is just the most beautiful thing. Like,
that's Cap.
I know.
And you think Cap is beautiful.
Well, yes.
Well, and after that, Cap then moseys along on his motorcycle. Cowboy rides off into the sunset.
As one does, yes.
So next issue, Steve is talking to Sharon Carter on his flip phone, and he rolls up to a diner and offers to wash dishes in exchange for some grub. Everyone recognizes him and wants to take his picture, and the owner of the shop has to shoo him away with a broom. Turns out the swordsman is in town. The swordsman has been an Avenger, but there have been evil swordsmen as well. And the original swordsman actually taught Hawkeye everything he knows. This is not the original swordsman. This is some new guy that we don't get the name of.
So they're not clones of each other, they just happen to be swordsmen who are different and either evil or good, I'm assuming.
We don't know who this guy is. Like, they don't reveal his name in this, and there's a swordsman in the Hawkeye book, and we don't get his name there either. So for all we know, those are two different swordsmen.
Okay.
But he's wearing old swordsman's outfit. So yeah, but old swordsman is dead anyway. So
that's very confusing.
Yeah, but swordsman slaughters people working at the dam and threatens to blow it up, flooding the town. And Steve naturally springs into action. Swordsman has a guy hostage, and Steve says, "Swordsman, I thought you were dead." And then Swordsman is all, I'm not that guy. I'm the new swordsman. Oh yeah, I forgot. I actually did check the wiki to see if they gave his name. He doesn't have a name.
He's just nameless.
He's Swordsman. First name Swords, last name Man.
Swordsman, yep, makes sense.
Swordsman thought Steve was there for him, but no, Steve was just cruising by. Cap asks him what he wants, and Swordsman wants to improve his rep by taking Steve's head off. So they fight. Cap throws a shield, but Swordsman deflects it, lodging it into a pipe overhead. It turns out this swordsman has a vibranium sword. Black Panther will not be happy to hear about that.
No, he will not.
As Cap goes for his shield, Swordsman asks, "Why do you even care about this town?" And then Steve goes, "Are there people here?" And Swordsman goes, "I should hope so." And then Cap goes, "There you go. I care about the lives of other human beings. Unlike you monster."
I mean, I guess that goes back to what you were saying before with how this Steve Rogers was oh, I was basically based in New York a lot. Let me explore more of America. So and then he has that mentality.
And plus, I'm pretty sure Cap has had like runs where he's like been on the road before. America's a big place, and he's the captain of all of it.
And he's always kind of been that way, like regardless, if you think about it.
Anyway, Cap gets his shield back, and they fight atop the dam, and it's sword versus shield. Gotta get the Pokemon.
Got my joke before I was gonna say it.
Good. Swordsman slices the ground where Cap was standing, and Cap starts to fall off the dam, but he grabs a ledge and pulls himself back up. Turns out Swordsman programmed the dam, and the floodgates open. So apparently this swordsman is also a hacker. He can slice through firewalls. Cap flings his shield, and Swordsman readies to block it, but he wasn't prepared for Cap punching him in the face. He uses the old 2 snowballs trick, where you have 2 snowballs, you throw one up in the air at the other person, and then you hit him with the second snowball. Never see it coming.
No, never do.
Cap tries to reprogram it with the one worker who's still alive, and there's a manual override, but the valve is stuck. Cap needs leverage, so they use the sword to turn the valve. Cap leaves, and the diner guy gives him some food for the road.
Oh, how the turntables, the sword helps save people.
Yeah. Pen might be mightier than the sword, but the sword is better for leverage, so, you know.
Yeah.
And now we get to one of my favorite issues in this book, and you know why. Steve is playing pool when he is knocked out by the pretty woman who he was playing pool with, and wakes up in Kraven the Hunter's mansion. Now, Kraven is a Spider-Man villain, and Brooke, you know him because he's basically just Skulker from Danny Phantom, but not a ghost.
Is that where they got it from?
Yeah.
So Skulker is basically him, but a ghost.
Yeah, Skulker's a Kraven knockoff.
Huh. You learn something new every day.
I just imagine, like, if there ever was a Danny Phantom Spider-Man crossover, the two of them would, like, get into a hunt-off competition. It's like, no, I could totally hunt your guy. Yeah, well, I can totally hunt your guy. Your guy's a stupid Spider-Man. Oh, yeah, well, your guy's a stupid dead kid. You can't even catch a dead kid.
Does that make Danny Phantom Spider-Man?
Yeah. Let's see. Teenage superhero gets superpowers from a lab accident, and also has a ability that allows him to sense things. No, they're completely different.
Completely different. Nope. Man, I love Danny Phantom.
Yeah, I do too.
We could talk about that all day, but we're not. Moving on.
So Cap is in Kraven's mansion of death, and he's like, Kraven's there. He's like, as you can see, here's my stuffed wolf, the head of a man, and my Jack Kirby monster heads. To illustrate, Kraven hunts a wide variety of things. Kraven also shocks Cap with a shock collar, and then plans to do his thing and, you know, hunt Cap like the most dangerous game in the jungle below, and if he makes it to the coast, he will regain his shield and freedom. Cap plans not to play along when Kraven reveals that he has a man in the jungle below being chased by a big cat. And Cap asks, who is he? Kraven asks, doesn't matter. Cap then glares at him and jumps out the window to save the man. And I like to think Cap is thinking, okay, I'm gonna save this guy, but I'm gonna break your fancy window on the way down.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, if I'm gonna break something in the process, you're gonna pay for damages while I go save people.
So Cap shoulder charges the big cat, wrestles it, and suplexes it into a spike trap, and saves this guy whose name is David.
Hey, I know someone named David.
Oh, you do? So do
Yeah.
I. What a coincidence.
Wow, crazy world, isn't it?
Yeah, small world. So Cap bandages up David's cut, and Kraven shoots at them. So Cap and David got to get a move on.
Yeah, go on, David. Go ahead.
Cap takes off his belt to defend himself against snakes. Sadly for you, Brooke, he puts it back on.
Dang it.
Then Cap and David come up to a rock wall, and David pulls on a weak root and causes an avalanche. Cap reaches for a shield, but realizes he doesn't have it, so he shields David with his own body. Thankfully, Cap busts them out of the rock pile, and David asks Cap if he's okay, and Cap answers that he's beginning to feel a little dehydrated. And Cap looks in the distance and sees Kraven watching them. They go through a canyon filled with booby-trapped ropes, and one rope is tripped, and a giant boulder almost squishes the two of them. They then reach a big open field, and David hears the ocean up ahead. Cap realizes that, nah, this is too easy. So he chucks a rock into the field, and we find out that it's a literal minefield. Cap says to stay on the path, as they're going through, and I think he means that you need to step on the rocks because there can't be any mines underneath them because they're rocks. But David heard something click. Cap tells him to stay still and that since it didn't explode, it's probably a pressure mine and that he can defuse it as he starts digging it out. Then David pulls out a gun and holds it to Steve's head.
David, how could you?
I know he's my evil twin. What can I say?
I am so mad at you.
He's banned from the family reunion.
Good.
Then David but Cap swats the gun away, saying he smelled the gun oil. And then Craven shows up and goes and gives him the slow villain clap. And he's all, well done. No other man would still be alive. Because Craven is also Russian.
You know, I actually pictured, I like didn't know who he was before. But when I was reading it, I actually read it in a Russian accent. He just looks it.
Also, his name is Sergei Kravenov.
Yeah, that would give it away. I just kept reading it. So I guess I was right.
He has a Russian mustache. He has a Russian mustache. A rush stash. He's all, well done. No other man would still be alive. And I'm like, Spidey would. The Spidey sense would have warned him. Cap asks Craven if he'd give him the shield back like he said, and Craven said he will once Cap is unconscious. So he shoots Cap and they fall, and Cap falls off the cliff. And Craven goes, no, the contract said alive. But Steve was hanging on the cliffside and grabs Craven by the leg and swings him down. Craven grabs Cap by the ankle as Cap gets his shield back. And Cap asks Craven to turn the collar off if he wants to live. And Craven says, never.
So did Craven have the shield the whole time?
He had it on his back.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Because like at first I was like, did it just pop out of nowhere? Like, did they just really do that? Nope. Never mind.
Now, if you turn back his back like Steve had.
Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
I totally missed it. Wow.
Mystery solved.
Lesson learned, kids. Always look where you're reading.
Devil's in the details.
Devil is in the details.
Yeah, it's funny. Brooke, you had to hunt for it.
Oh.
Anyway, the two fall into the ocean, and Steve uses his shield to cushion the fall. Craven's alive. He shows back up in Spider-Man. Anyway, Rampart's submarine emerges, and they hit Cap with an ice beam. It was super effective. So Cap wakes up, thawed out, and in the back of a weird vehicle, and there's a woman and a talking dog with a shirt that says good boy. Cap explodes out of the truck throwing punches. Where am I? Answer me! Swear to me! Oh wait, wrong universe. And he did pretty much the same thing when the Avengers unfroze him. He's like, weird robot man, the shrinky lady, giant man, bam, bam, bam.
I mean, if you were frozen and then unfrozen, you'd kind of coming out throwing punches.
Yeah, plus he didn't know. For all he knew, Iron Man was a Nazi robot. You don't want to take chances with a Nazi robot.
No.
And the future people explain that he is in America. Steve puts together that the city, more like the rubble that used to be a city he's in, is actually Washington, D.C. And the woman, Liang, explains that the whole country is like this, and that a bunch of New Yorker cartoon-looking assholes kept him as a monument to their America. And I say New Yorker cartoon because they look like a bunch of rich asshole Monopoly men.
They do look like Monopoly men.
Especially that one guy with the bird nose.
With a top hat?
Yes, with the top hat. The other guy, the other guy doesn't have a bird nose.
Well, that one, he has more of a bumpy face.
Yeah, he's like a blobby rock man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm talking about the guy that looks like Penguin's skinnier cousin.
Oh, yeah. Good for him, I guess.
Bunch of assholes kept Cap as a monument to their America. And Cap asks, they who? No time, we got tanks coming in. And Cap is still woozy from his ice nap, so he needs a little help. Liang calls him Bomb Pop, which I legit only realized now she's referring to the red, white, and blue ice cream. Not ice cream, ice pop.
I did not put two and two together.
I thought it was because he was from World War II and there are bombs and he's a pop because he's old. But I guess it's multi-layered.
You know, that's what I thought. I thought she was calling him Bomb Pop because of his attire.
Anyway, she gives Cap a trench coat so he can pull a Ninja Turtles and go incognito, so he isn't a star-spangled target. The tanks found one of her guys out on the street, and Cap naturally wants to go out and save him, but Liang gets the other freedom fighters to hold him down, because if Steve rushes out of the building, the goons would rush in and get all of them. And someone puts their hand over Cap's mouth, and then the bad guys shoot the guy that was out in the street. And once they leave, they let go of Cap, and he slams Liang into the wall, saying, "Don't ever do that again." She says she won't bow down at Steve's feet, and that he woke up to a whole new world, not the fun Aladdin kind. So he asks her to show him what's what. Basically, a bunch of nukes went off and killed like 9/10 of the population, and all the superheroes died in the blast. And it spread far enough that opportunists, and the radiation spread far enough that opportunists offered expensive hazmat trinkets, treated water, and whatever else they promised that would keep people healthy. Cap asked who attacked, and Liang said it was Rampart, led by King Babington, who has a very punchable face. Like, he looks like a rich kid that would, like, lord over how rich he is to the other kids at school, and, like, would hold all expensive parties, and, like, boast about how people aren't invited to them. But, like, that's only gonna be, like, 3 people at the party.
He obviously does my daddy drives a very fancy car and daddy's money all the time.
Yeah, he looks like a very daddy's money kind of guy. Cap realizes that Rampart only won because he wasn't there to stop them. And Babington managed to become king because most of the elected officials were also killed as well. We can only assume the Postmaster General was also killed. But Babington only represents rich assholes, and the radiation also mutated people because of the Marvel Universe, and gave Babington weird powers. So while everyone else lives in Mad Max, Babington has a whole floating citadel filled with rich jerks dressed like the Monopoly Man.
It's like the Capitol in the Hunger Games. They're all dressed fancy while everyone else is just trying to fight for their life.
Pretty much. The rich get A's and everyone else gets Y's and Z's to know their place. No X's to be seen, though. Although, when everyone's a mutant, no one is.
Oh, I did not get that, and then I did. It took me longer to get that. I'm dumb. Moving on.
Which bit? The syndrome bit or the X for X-Men bit?
Both.
Keep that in, please.
I will.
Liang goes on to explain that the future sucks. Rampart took over the church. No due process. No Garfield in the newspapers. Truly, this is the darkest timeline.
Duh. No Garfield, no fun.
And no Spider-Man to be seen. Cap also says he remembers the Bill of Rights word for word and will even rewrite it for them. But Liang explains, no, Cap, you were frozen in 2018. It's only 2025. And then Cap looks like he shit himself.
Which, when I read that, I was like, oh, too soon. Too soon.
We're not there yet.
Oh, God, at least we'll be prepared.
Yeah, and plus, you'll be happy there's talking dogs in the future.
You know what? Yeah.
Actually, it'd be good for both of us. Talking dog for you and buff lady for me.
But at what cost, David?
Oh, yeah, no Spider-Man. Okay, now I'm sad again. Meanwhile, at Babington's castle, this Dr. Octopus-looking dude is in trouble with this Duke because Cap was stolen on his watch.
Who looks like a very buff Dr. Eggman.
Oh my God, he does.
Yeah, right?
Well, with no Sonic to hunt, he had to work out at the gym and got to work with Babington.
I guess so.
Just imagine pumping up, going, I hate that hedgehog. I miss him so much. Oh, my life has no meaning.
No.
Duke Eggman then tells him to report to King Babington, and not Ock is terrified because nobody survives an audience with him. But the Duke reassures him, does that sound like America to you? And then after he leaves, he tells a guard to fetch a mop. That's not a good sign.
No, it's not.
So then we meet Emperor Palpatine, King Babington. And Bullcut McGee explains that he deployed a bunch of drones on high alert to anesthetize Cap until the rapid troops can capture him. And Babington then says, well, We got the plan. We won't be needing you now, will we? And has the guy disintegrated, and Babington orders the guard be doubled. Unfortunately, these drones aren't like Vision Android drones. They're like dumb drones because they mistake a kid in a Captain America shirt as Cap. Thankfully, the real Cap swoops in to save the day, and Cap smashes a bunch of the drones and then smashes through a wall to take down some troops. He's just on a roll, smashing everything.
Which I find is funny because he's just trying to take the Hulk's job.
I mean, yeah, hang on to that. We'll get there. One of the troops has a gun on Cap. Thankfully, Liang hits the troop in the back of the head with a shovel. Cap also takes a selfie with the kid, so I'm happy about that, and that's cute.
That was adorable.
Cap then rallies the troops to take back the country, and I love how the doggo tilts his head. And now this is the future, and I'd like to believe that the dog man is actually Hawkeye's dog, who we'll meet in Hawkeye Volume 1.
I don't care. Any dog content is perfect with me.
I'm just saying, my headcanon, this is Hawkeye's dog.
You know, that would make sense, because, like, why would they just put a random dog? Well, not that I'm complaining, but why would they put a random dog in this comic?
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta admit, he's kind of dressed like how Hawkeye would dress.
I think that's why, because the Hawkeye book,
Mhm.
I think, was coming out either at the same time or, like, right before this. Anyway, I digress. Next issue. Cap is getting beaten up by this armored dude, and we get some exposition on his plan. Near as he can tell, perimeter security is an issue, but Rampart is made up of a bunch of pompous, rich windbags with no regard for others, who spit on those in need while they coast by on wealth and privilege. They're so over-the-top elite that Cap doubts they know which end of the gun to hold. So, but Cap is still fighting. So he takes a swipe at the armored dude, and it turns out to be a familiar green face. No, not Shrek, but the Hulk.
Plot twist. I predicted the future.
You read this.
I know. It's just.
Unfortunately, Hulk no recognize Flagman, so they got to do it the hard way. Steve throws Liang the shield and asks him to pass him explosives. Hulk grabs Cap and holds him down, but Liang slides Steve the shield, and because he's on the other side, is protected from the blast to Hulk's face. Thankfully, the explosion doesn't make him more mad, and instead he turns back into Bruce. Bruce Banner. Bruce reveals that Babington brainwashed the Hulk after the war, and that one other survived. The only two strong enough to survive the radiation. Well, always two there are, no more, no less. But before he could reveal to us, they're attacked by Rampart troops. I think there should be more people immune to the radiation, but IDK. But I don't know if Thor's immune to radiation, and I don't know if Vision could have gotten exploded in the blast. So, like, yeah, we only got so many issues.
Also, they probably didn't want to waste time with like explaining how many heroes are like gone, so they kind of just wanted to focus on like, only us, haha.
Plus, like, Asgard's a whole other place, but like, it could have also been like, they saw, oh, world went to Mad Max, close the portal, Heimdall, lock the door.
we ain't going.
Roll the shades, turn off the lights. They won't ask.
They won't know we're home.
We've forsaken them. We're gods. We could do that. But King Babby is mad because it's been 13 days since Steve thawed, and the Duke is all, he's coming to us like a lamb to the slaughter. And Babington corrects him. He's like, no, a lion. And Babby goes on to say, Rogers leads lazy and worthless inferiors who refuse to respect the sacred rights of merit that the sacred rights of citizens of merit, and that men of quality are entitled to reign.
Why does he look like a triangle?
Radiation.
Like, he looks so ugly.
Well, now his outside matches insides.
Point taken.
By the way, he's entitled to a kick to the nuts. He looks like Slapstick from Deadpool's team back in Spider-Man Deadpool Volume 1, if you'll remember. Like, pink skin, white hair, pink skin, and stupid outfit.
Yeah.
Like, if Babington is the king, then Slapstick is the court jester. And that flat head of his makes him look like an aircraft carrier.
He does. He looks like a hammer, like a shark, or like
No.
a goat. He looks like a gopher.
Oh yeah, he's got buck teeth like a gopher.
Yeah, like a gopher, but with like who like bumped his head.
Yeah. He looks like a shark in the sense that like if a kid like drew a people face on like a shark head.
Yeah,
Babington says that Cap should not be allowed to access the generator. Sure enough, Cap and Liang are on their way to the generator, because if you take out the power, the whole castle falls into chaos. Liang says she knows Steve wishes he was back home, and Steve says that home is wherever his country needs him. But also, yes, he does. Steve has made his peace with the fact that this is probably a one-way trip, and they reach the generator, and it's odd because obviously it isn't solar or wind powers and no smell of fossil fuel. Turns out the power source is the thing from the Fantastic Four turning a big wheel. And I love how his dialogue is written phonetically because he's from Brooklyn. So he doesn't say you, he says yous and stuff like that.
which I'm glad they kept because they could have been like, oh, he's in business society now, so he's gonna talk different.
The Thing thinks that he's turning the wheel to supply oxygen to shelters because he thinks up top is a nuclear wasteland. I mean, it kind of is, but not in the way he thinks. Steve tells Thing the truth, and in a fit of rage, Thing breaks the generator and screams out the names of Johnny the Human Torch and Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman's kids, Valeria and Franklin. And I feel sad because your introduction to the Thing is sad post-apocalyptic Thing.
Then again, and I hope no one comes after me with this, but I did see him in the movies,
No,
and
yeah.
he was sad
Well,
about
yeah, I
turning
mean,
me. So I met him when he was sad. I was introduced him to Comic Kim when he was sad. It's like a full circle.
well, yeah. He's always sad about being turned into a rock monster, but now it's like he's sad because all of his family's dead.
Yeah, true.
His whole like Incredibles family is dead.
Yikes.
And not just the men, but the women and children too.
Oh God.
I'm a Star Wars joke roll today, and I didn't plan that.
You know what? We're just going with it.
I also think it's weird how Thing just takes Cap at his word for it, because like for all we know, this could be Mysterio or Chameleon or some other shapeshifter, but whatever, we got to move the plot along.
Yeah, he's kind of just like, okay, moving on.
Thing also mentions that he has some of Mr. Fantastic's tech, because Mr. Fantastic is basically like Dexter or Jimmy Neutron in the sense that he's got like all sorts of crazy super science, and super science is different from regular science because it's not real. So he's got like shrink rays and growth rays and portals to the negative zone and other such wonderful dangerous things.
And think rays and candy rays and
Manta rays.
Sun rays.
This ray stings. It's a stingray. Anyway, the Rampart goons are shooting. Steve and Liang rush through the guards, and Steve explains that since this is where so many of them are, they're on the right track. And I just want to point out that on this page, one of the rich assholes looks like Commissioner Gordon from Batman, the guy with the orange mustache.
Oh my God, yeah, he does. I didn't even put two and two together.
Commissioner Gordon.
I was focused on like this like cylinder kind of dude.
Commissioner Gordon, how could you?
Yeah. I was too focused on the guy behind him. He looks like a fish.
Yeah, you're too focused on Fishhead. Meanwhile, Thing is yelling his catchphrase, "It's clobbering time," as he smashes a wall to let the resistance in. Liang gets shot, but she's down, but not out, while Cap leads everyone else. They go into the throne room, and Steve wants his country back. But it turns out those powers Babington had were telepathic. So he blasts Cap with mind control, boasts how he had the Hulk under control, and goes on a whole speech about how poor people are lesser than he is and how they don't contribute anything to society. Blah, blah, blah. My dad's rich. Blah, blah, blah. I look like an aircraft carrier. I look like the unholy child of an aircraft carrier and a clown. He then orders Cap to give him the shield, and Steve delivers it express to the face.
Free shipping.
Free shipping. Cap then explains that he could control the Hulk because it was all power and rage, while Steve stands for freedom and hope. And I'm like, I'd argue it's difficult to control Hulk because, like, there's not just like Bruce and Hulk in Bruce's head. There's a whole bunch of other personalities crawling around in there. But whatever. Hulk is all rage, Steve is focused, so I'll take that.
Mhm.
Cap also calls his resistance the Howlers, which is a reference to the Howling Commandos. They were Nick Fury's commandos in World War II, and they appeared in Captain America 1. Remember the guy with the bowler hat and the big orange mustache in the movie?
Yes.
He was one of the Howling Commandos. His name is
Oh.
His name is Dum Dum Dugan.
Okay, that's cool. All right.
And anyway, Thing shakes hands with Banner, and Bruce explains Hulk is burnt out. So it's all Bruce, no Hulk. So, oh goody, Bruce found a cure for the Hulk. Everything else is just shitty. And still no Spider-Man. No, I'm not going to let that go. Anyway, Cap explains that they need a leader to take over, and everyone's looking at him. It's Cap. It's Cap. Of course it's going to be Cap.
Who else would it be?
Liang is working with someone in Shadow talking about Cap. And we get a close-up of what the dude in Shadow was working on, and it's a sci-fi looking gun. And they say, it's time Cap surrendered the throne. Oh, more on that later. A few days later, Cap is spread thin, and every other nation on Earth wants to take over America now that Babington is gone. And they don't like Steve because he won't stand for shady deals with petty tyrants.
There is a panel right after we see Liang with the mysterious Shadow Man, and it's Cap fighting, and there's a dog biting, I guess, someone's hand.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, it looks like my dog.
Yeah, I forgot. I wanted to make sure I remembered. Thank you. And I'd also like to point out, this is a different breed of dog, man or woman. And so there's two dogs in this dog people in this post-apocalyptic future.
And that's better than one. But yeah, no, that looks like my dog. Or my old dog, I should say.
But the country needs infrastructure and agriculture, and rebuilding a country from the ground up is hard. Cap's old. He hasn't played Civilization. He doesn't know not to make a deal with Gandhi. Or if you do make a deal with Gandhi, I haven't played Civilization. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Do I trust Gandhi? I don't know. I also just want to point out that on the tablet in the panel, Thing mentions that he's fighting Latveria, Latverian troops, and Latveria is where Doctor Doom is from, who's a Fantastic Four villain. So, haha.
So does he? Yeah. So does that mean he exists, or he's just?
I feel like it's a safe bet that if there was a post-apocalyptic event in America, Doom was chilling in Latveria.
He's just like, sup, and he's like, what did I happen? I just fell asleep.
We're like, oh, sucks to be you guys. Anyway, back to me ruling my own country. Liang meets with Cap, and then she pulls out a gun. She pulls out the sci-fi gun. And Bruce Banner walks in explaining that the gun was salvaged from the Fantastic Four's time machine, and it's held together with prayer and duct tape, and it's only got one charge left. Now, what they should have done was hold it together with paper clips and rubber bands, because if you watch Rugrats in Paris, that can hold a giant robot together.
That is true. It can.
And turns out they say Cap's got to get back to the past, Samurai Cap. They interrogated Babington and found out that the first missile launch that led to Rampart's takeover was launched from the sub that captured Cap back in a couple issues ago. Cap thinks about it and he refuses, because if they just send him back, it doesn't save the here and now. Because what if this future just splits off and becomes another alternate dimension? Which it probably will.
If he said it in the comics, it shall be done.
I mean, that, and also it kind of that's kind of what happens whenever we see a bad future. It's just over there now.
Ah.
And then when we get like a big multiverse event, we see, oh, there's that multiverse. And everyone's looking shocked, like,
we didn't see this coming. And it's like,
No, more like whenever they have a big multiverse event and they show like all the different universes reacting to something, and everyone's like,
got it.
Anyway, we see Cap as the days go by, and he spreads himself way too thin. And on day 349, New York explodes. Ultimately, he has run out of options and agrees, because they've been fighting battles and losing the war. And Cap says, hope is not a plan. And Banner says, that is the least Captain America thing I've ever heard. And Cap says that it's either give up or take Banner's Hail Mary, and Steve don't know how to give up. Bruce says that the blast should send him about a week before he gets refrozen by Rampart, so he'll have time to plan. And as he's sent back in time, Liang asks him to look him up sometime. One thing I want to point out is that after rereading this, I realized how funny it is that a gun sends him back in time. Because when Cap died before in the comics, the explanation to bring him back was, oh no, Steve didn't die. He was hit with a time bullet that sent him back in time.
He's just getting hit with guns that send him places.
Even though, we had a corpse that we had to bury. We had a Cap corpse.
Whose corpse was that then?
I don't know. Maybe we had another Cap spring out of Stevil's body, and that's this Cap. I don't know. There's just probably a whole room full of dead Captain America bodies.
Yeah.
I don't know. Shield's got him.
Makes sense.
Anyways, Steve realizes that he's there on the island right when Rampart is freezing him, and we get a countdown for the missile. So the Rampart goons are patting themselves on the back, going, we got Captain America! And then one guy goes, yeah? And who's that? U.S. agent!
Oh, ew, I hate him so much.
Everyone does. Thankfully, it's not, and it's an actual superhero. It's Captain America.
Thank God.
And meanwhile, Babington is in his Captain Kirk chair and is barking orders about how it's the dawn of a new age, blah, blah, blah. My daddy's rich, blah, blah, blah. I can't get a date no matter how much I pay. And his goons tell him that Cap is loose. So Cap fights his way through the sub, makes it to the control room, and right as Babington is about to hit the big red button, Cap smashes the controls. Cap also explains how the radiation at close range atomizes and how the fallout will just make Babington uglier.
And he becomes bald. Bald, my eyes!
And pointy.
Yeah, very pointy.
And as I said before, it'll make his insides match his outside. But some goons snuck up and shot Cap in the leg. Babington engages the launch and puts his boot on Cap's head, saying how he'll be a symbol of defeat, but Cap uppercuts him into the ceiling. Now that's a Street Fighter move.
That is a Street Fighter move.
Cap throws the shield up so it blocks the missile from launching. He starts pulling all the wires out of the missile, disintegrating as he does so, and remembers that while hope is not a plan, you sure as hell can't win without it. Language! So while future Cap is atomized, present Cap is melted out of the ice and is all, well, that was weird. So he doesn't know about future Cap's journey, and future Cap is dust, so...
He literally was like, what happened?
Pretty much. And we can presume that the shield is destroyed, because, I mean, it's difficult to destroy adamantium/vibranium, let alone a combination of the two. But, I mean, if it atomizes, the shield's still made of atoms. So, I'll take that the shield atomized. Anyway, in the wrap-up, Cap mails a letter to Sharon saying how he lost his phone when Kraven kidnapped him and how the sub was destroyed and he managed to pull enough intel from it to stop Rampart's takeover. And when Cap mails his letter, the mail carrier is Liang.
Bum, bum, bum.
So who knows if we'll see more of her. I don't think she comes back, but I don't know every single thing that happens in Captain America, so we'll see.
So, like, this was just like, oh my God, look, it's Liang. She was a mailman the whole time.
Male person.
You're right, male person.
So yeah, how was that Captain America book for you?
Listen, any Captain America book besides Stevil Rogers, because we do not speak of that.
Well, there's a second exception. U.S. agent.
I hate him so much. But no, I enjoy Captain America because he has a special place in my heart because, as you know, he was my first superhero. Because I just love just Captain America as a character. So this story was fun. I didn't have trouble reading it. The only questions I had were about was it Rembrandt? I can never say it.
Rembrandt is the artist. Rampart are the rich
Rampart.
assets.
Rampart.
And it's funny because I didn't realize that they were created for this because I'm like, okay, different henchmen, different suits. They're Rampart. Okay, there's like a bunch, because like Marvel has a bunch of evil organizations. They mostly just stick with Hydra, who are the Nazis, and the Advanced Idea Mechanics, or AIM, which are all just mad scientists. But like, there's a bunch of other ones. Like, I think there's one that's Sons of the Serpent or something. And I'm like, okay, Rampart. Yeah, sure. But no, these were created. They were created for this. And I also like the idea of them coming back and being like because like Cap, I'm not sure if he has anyone that's like a rich asshole villain. And it would be a neat thing to see Cap fight them where it's not like a time travel story, and it's just like, because like the X-Men also have like a rich asshole villain group called the Hellfire Club, and they also dress like they're at a Ren fair, but okay. I also like it because it's like, it's the Superman Lex Luthor thing, because like they're like rich assholes, so it's like, it's not something you can like directly punch. It's not like a problem you can punch. And that's a similar thing happened, and I forgot if Steve was dead for that or if Bucky was Cap, when Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, took over S.H.I.E.L.D. in this story called Dark Reign. So basically Osborn was everyone's bad guy.
Everyone's bad guy?
Pretty much.
Yikes.
And by that I mean like, the heroes were trying to do their stuff, but like Norman Osborn and the fact that he ran S.H.I.E.L.D. and renamed it Hammer, the fact that he had like 3 different superhero, in quotes, teams backing him up, including one guy that's a Superman knockoff. So like, I would just love it if at one point Spidey's all like, yeah, he sucks, and I have to deal with him all the time. How do you think I feel?
It's like, y'all don't understand.
And I also wish he'd be like, yeah, a little respect. I gotta deal with this asshole every day. He killed my girlfriend.
How rude.
So a little respect for the shit I gotta deal with every single fucking day. And I imagine after Captain America fights Kraven, he's all like, Spidey's gotta deal with this maniac all the time.
Just send him an I'm sorry basket.
Yeah. Like, he's like, I'm sorry you have to deal with this lunatic asshole all the time. Hugs and kisses, Captain America. I'm glad you enjoyed the book, and I've got more Captain America books lined up and more books with Cap in it, just in it. So
I'm so ready for it. But yeah, so that was this podcast. I hope you enjoyed. So before we exit, I'm going to pass the mic to David. David, would you like to say some last things?
If you want to get a copy of this book, we'll provide links in the description so you can get a copy of your own if you like it, and we hope you enjoy.
Also, a reminder that without the help from libraries and local comic book shops, this podcast wouldn't even be possible. And we'll see you in the next episode.